Hey, it's Ryan Barton-Grimley, but you already know that because you're on my YouTube channel. Let's talk about screenwriting and let's talk about some inspiration. Check this out. That's about, 10 pounds of books there. That's what you got. Yeah. So, everybody in life makes their own way, right? And when it comes to being a writer, you got to make your own way as well. And I think you need to get some inspiration from some really good places. These are the places that really inspired me and the writers that really inspired me. Stephen King on writing. This has been super influential for me. He has some great little gems in here, like really, really good ones. Apparently he went to London and he bought Rudyard Kipling's desk. Rudyard Kipling wrote The Jungle Book, by the way. So anyway, he goes to this hotel in London, he buys Rudyard Kipling's desk, gets it delivered there, and this is what he said. And he's speaking about Misery, I believe. So when I sat down at Mr. Kipling's beautiful desk, I had the basic situation. Crippled writer, psycho fan, firmly fixed in my mind. The actual story did not as then exist. Well, it did, but as a relic, buried, except for 16 handwritten pages, that is, in the earth. But knowing the story wasn't necessary for me to begin work. I'd located the fossil. The rest, I knew, would consist of careful excavation. And that is actually how I look at screenwriting. I will get little tidbits, an idea, character, dialogue, but at some point, I need to excavate all the pieces of the story to make a good movie. There's this other gem that I just love. My take on all these things is pretty simple. It's all on the table, every bit of it, and you should use anything that improves the quality of your writing and doesn't get in the way of your story. So that's really what I truly believe. You should use every possible bit of structure, every convention that screenwriting teachers have come up with, and you should use them all and try to figure out what works for you. Bird by Bird by Lamott. I've read this book 100 times. It even has a nice genuine coffee stain there. Well, I hope that's coffee. Just kidding. You know, it's just real nuts and bolts, and it's all about being good to yourself and just letting yourself fail. She says this: people tend to look at successful writers who are getting their books published and maybe even doing well financially, and think that they sit down at their desks every morning feeling like $1,000,000, feeling great about who they are and how much talent they have and what a great story they have to tell, and they take in a few deep breaths, roll their necks, and dive in, typing fully formed pages as fast as a court reporter. But this is just the fantasy of the uninitiated. It's a fantasy, guys. Writers write a lot, and they rewrite a lot. Screenwriters even more so, because you're not just writing for the reader, you're writing for the camera. I can't emphasize this enough. You need to write a bunch of really bad drafts. You need to figure out what works and doesn't work in your story. Perfectionism. This is awesome. This is directly to me. I'm a perfectionist. I think perfectionism is based on the obsessive belief that if you run carefully enough, hitting each stepping stone just right, you won't have to die. That's her sense of humor. She's hilarious. Oh, I love it. Okay. The Three Uses of the Knife by David Mamet. And by knives, he is referring to cuts. How do you cut through the BS to get to the story, to get to the arc of the character, to get what your story's actually about? What is it about? It's not just about, oh, a guy discovers a thing and then he saves the world. No, it's not about that. It's about what's going on with that character. What's it actually about? He's got some amazing gems in here. And he talks about montages here and, big, long speeches by characters. He believes they're very similar, that they're expositional and they're just lazy. And I tend to agree. Unless you're using the montage or the long hero speech to kind of trick them so you can surprise them, or you're using it for humor to kind of make fun of the convention, it's lazy writing, and I love it. Use the knife. Use it a lot. The Secrets of Film Writing by Tom Lazarus. He's got some very insightful things to say here, but it's from the point of view of somebody who's already written quite a few screenplays. Secret number 6, less is more. And he's referring to your description. So when you're writing a screenplay, obviously at the beginning of every scene, you've got the slug line, exterior, Beverly Hills mansion, sunset. And then you start describing the scene, you're painting the picture. Everyone overdoes it. You want to see the extreme of how to be brief about doing that and communicating a concise idea idea with emotion and really getting tone across, read the Lethal Weapon screenplay by Shane Black. It's amazing. Don't copy him, but it's amazing. So really underdo your scene description. Let the characters speak for themselves. Secret number 7, more is more. So here's this point. You've been really economical in all of your scene description, and then you have this pivotal scene where it's really important that you describe things. Then you can have more is more. Wabi Sabi by Leonard Cohen. I love this book. I think this really applies to dialogue and screenwriting. All your characters have to sound different. They're all from different places. They grew up with different parents. They have different life experiences. Let that stuff be different, a little authentic, a little messy. Sounds real. The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler. So Christopher Vogler just really deeply gets into the mythical structure. It's the structure of almost every Western story. It's about their heroic journey, Joseph Campbell's business, and he just really expands on that and gets really deep into it. You got to read it a bunch of times for it to even sink in, I feel. But this is really good because you'll read this and then you'll be like, oh my God, every movie has that. Inside Story by Dara Marks. So this is all about the interior journey of the character through the mythical structure. So it further builds on what Vogler was doing and Joseph Campbell's thing. And I think this amazing opening quote by John Steinbeck that she includes pretty much sums it up. We are lonesome animals. We spend our life trying to be less lonesome. One of our ancient methods is to tell a story, begging the listener to say and to feel, yes, that's the way it is, or at least that's the way I feel it. You're not as alone as you thought. John Steinbeck. I mean, you just can't really say it in a cleaner way. Like, why the heck are we all doing this? Why are we experiencing all these other people's stories? Why are we going to the trouble to make them for people to experience, to get closer, to have understanding, right? Story by Robert McKee. It's just basically the blue Bible of screenwriting, so read it. I don't know what else to say about it. This may be controversial. Save the Cat Strikes Back. Oh man, what can I say? Save the Cat and Save the Cat Strikes Back are two great books. Read Save the Cat first. Every screenwriter should read it. It's like a cliche at this point, but really, if you really want to get into it, Save the Cat Strikes Back. This gets into his structure, which he's basically distilled from all these previous books I've just shown you. But he really gets into the nitty-gritty of the structure that he's talking about, and it's far more complex than a lot of people give it justice. So I think you can take any idea you have for a screenplay or story. You could read all these other books, let all that stuff float around in your head, and then you could sit down with Save the Cat Strikes Back. You could kind of shoehorn all your details in there and write a script right away. And then you could see your shitty first draft. And you can see how it doesn't all work. You could have other people read it and tell you how it doesn't all work. And then you can make it better over and over again, day by day, make it better. And then you can turn it into a movie. So what is the point of me doing this all? The point was for me to show you the books that have a really big effect on me. Because I've read probably 100, maybe 200 screenwriting books. I've read them all. I've watched all the YouTube videos. I've tried them all. And I'm just basically trying to communicate that what stuck with me was this stuff. And again, like Stephen King said, everything's on the table. Get it all. Read it all. Use every tool. Why wouldn't you? I mean, what are you afraid of? Like, if you think you're too good to read about how other writers who are most likely more successful than you and far more prolific, if you think you're too good or too precious to read what they have to say, I'm sorry, you're about to learn major lessons. Seriously. And look, speaking from myself, I've been writing for probably 25 years. I've only gotten 4 scripts made. I produced 5 films, but I've only gotten 4 scripts made. You know, and that was mostly through my own just grunt work. At the end of the day, it's a long journey. And as many amazing influences you can find to help you and inspire you along the way, the better. Like, you should just nom, just eat them all up. And actually, if there are any additional books that you want to recommend, please put them down in the comments. I'm happy to read them all. I hope some of this helps you out. Maybe I just gave you this giant task in the beginning of January. Read all these books now and you'll be an amazing, famous screenwriter. No, that's probably not true, but you will possibly write a good screenplay. You'll definitely get through a shitty draft, and that's the first step. Okay, as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in and being part of my process. Please like the video and subscribe. I'll speak to you soon. Good luck out there.